Hello and welcome to Battlefield Podcast, episode 148. I am your host, Ole, a.k.a. Chalk1, and with me, as always, I have Tim, a.k.a. Darkness49. Say hello, Tim.
Hello, Tim.
How's it going?
Good.
We haven't talked on this podcast in almost a month now, because the last one that we did 2 weeks ago, you were busy working your ass off, and I ended up doing a little chat call with Scanner Barkley and a couple of the other folks, talking about the PS4. But in this episode, we have some special guests with us. We have two representatives. I'll call you guys representatives. From IND Gamers, we have Houdini. Say hello.
Hello. How's everybody?
And we have GooOost.
Hey, how's it going?
So, why don't we start off sort of really top-level stuff. INDgamers.com is your guys' website. Why don't you give us a quick overview of what IND Gamers does and how it came about?
What the fuck is IND Gamers?
It's a fish. We're a community of gamers with kind of a common goal coming together of making a better gaming experience. Whether it be to find that person to play a new game with, which in the first 2 weeks of a video game can be like a really, really rough time trying to find somebody with a mic, somebody that you like to play. So it's nice to have a community to draw from. Or other people that are like-minded to help you with video projects and so on and so forth. It's it's just a really nice community tool to have.
And we all have different takes as to what the function of IND Gamers is. But in my personal opinion, it's, when you're done playing the game their way, you play it our way, and you'll have much more fun.
We do add a persistence. Test the hell out of them. Yeah, the QED series is it's a labor of love, really. I personally, I favor Battlefield. I think that it's quite possibly one of the best series of video games that I've ever played. I've really always enjoyed the titles, and finding the way that it works, it's really eye-opening, and it adds a level of persistence to the game that otherwise just wouldn't be there in exploring game mechanics and the way things work. So it's really fascinating and fun to work on it in that respect. On a more technical level, it's really helping me along with my schooling. I'm currently a computer science major, so it's giving me a very abstract view of what video games are.
In the IND group, I'm what is commonly referred to as a lab technician. A lot of the glitches that you'll see in the QED series are original. Some of them are sort of like gathered and extracted from our subscribers and various sources, but we have personally found more than anyone. And I think that performing these glitches has actually helped me out with the regular gaming, surprisingly, because we'll play legit. Don't get me wrong, we will. But I was not that great at Battlefield until I really got into the QED series. And maybe it's just like the button combinations and the very specific things that you have to do, but it's good. And I've always been sort of into that aspect of games. I used to do beta testing for a company called Ambrosia Software, and I just really got into finding little quirks in the games that I could expose because it was my job to do that. So there was like this one glitch that I really loved in one of their games called Sketch Fighters. And in Sketch Fighter, you could just there was this spot where you could fly out of the map and you could fly directly over to the final boss and just beat him without doing any of the game.
So how did you guys... I should repeat the question I asked because apparently I was so smart to mute myself when I was typing something, but not smart enough to unmute myself when I asked the question, which is fine because it's still recorded in the audio version. But what they just explained was how the QED series came to be, which I thought was the sort of the probably the thing that they're most known for. But and I can attest to the fact that you guys do play regular Battlefield without, it's not all about glitching because we've had lots of games together where you're just playing the game as it's meant to be. Do you get a lot of negative feedback or criticism from whether it's your subscribers or the community in general? Because what you're doing, like those, every time that people hear the word glitch, they kind of cringe and go, cheaters, hackers, whatever.
I hear you. Truth be told, a lot of the times we'll just we'll come up with a group of qualified data, put together a QED, and then kick it out the back door. We don't. It's not something that we really revisit unless we have to, or we find it extremely funny, like the Pimp Rider glitch, which is just my favorite. It makes me giggle inside. But the community reacted, generally quite a bit more in our support. Early on, we tried posting a couple of links on Reddit, get the community there sort of interested in the mechanics behind it and how to combat them, and they fucking hated us. They just
that's Reddit though. Everybody gets hated on Reddit.
Sure, but I mean, they had a special kind of hate for us, and we saw that only 1.8% of our traffic was being generated from Reddit, so we just stopped posting there for a while. And after a lot of people had recognized that, they're sending them directly to the developers. They're sending these glitches in and trying to report them and trying to make Battlefield a little bit better. A lot of the Redditors that really, really hated us started jumping on board, and they've been some of our biggest supporters. So, generally supportive.
Speaking towards the reactions that we get from the QEDs, a lot of people, hate these things, and they're like, "Why are you showing people this?" But if you look at the latest patch notes from the endgame patch, they're basically just going down the list of our videos. So we're probably responsible for probably 10 gigabytes of the 30 Battlefield takes up on your Xbox, and you're welcome for that. If you want to know what Battlefield was like before us, just go back into the time machine. And then there's also the people that love us just because they're dirty glitchers, and I don't consider myself a dirty glitcher. When we glitch, it's primarily just private servers and just between friends, stuff like that. And then there's the people that they're just bored, and they want to try something new. I think that most of the time it's all just entertainment value. That's all it is. It's just entertainment. It's funny. We try to make it funny.
So how do you guys go about finding these glitches? What really goes into from start to finish?
Well, that's a good question.
I'd like to field that one, actually. We gather together and we lock ourselves in a basement with a pallet of Monster Energy drinks and Doritos.
Goose.
And we just crank it out. We've broken so many. We have a pile of broken controllers. Goose. And we just button mash until something happens.
And nobody gets to leave until you get out of the Metro map again, right?
Yeah, pretty much. The lock on the basement is timed, and it only releases after a QED has been uploaded to YouTube.
No, in all seriousness, we have a really good resounding support from our community, and it's only amplified by the like-minded individuals within our community that really help perpetuate this scientific measure of getting the qualified data. Some people not really know how to, put it across that, a certain thing is happening. They're just like, something weird happened to me. And as
Right.
a doctor, you're trying to diagnose it. So you're like, well, can you explain it? Like, what was your loadout? What was happening? This, that, the other. And then eventually you're just like, oh, it's ass cancer. You have ass cancer. No. We know how that works, and, we can treat that. That's what it really comes down to. And then finding, and the big thing that we absolutely have to have in our hands before we put out a QED is it reproducible? So finding the steps to reproduce it is probably the greatest help that we can give to the repro teams and the devs. And I'm sure they thank us for it.
So I wonder if you didn't publicize these videos, let's say you found all that, people send you things and stuff that happened, and then they send you, all their information that they can get, and you reproduce it, and you're able to reproduce it. If you don't put it on YouTube and you don't get it out to the public, do you think DICE would still be responding to it as well as they have been?
It's a symbiosis machine. It really is. I'm sure that there are people out there that are going to find these glitches and post them on YouTube, and they have absolutely no intention of ever getting them fixed. So they're just going to do it, and eventually it'll become enough of a problem that they'll have to step in and do something. What we're trying to do is we're sort of streamlining it, making people aware, and it works sort of both ways. You've got the people that are just going to do it anyway, and then you've got the people that are going to tell you that this is still broken, and this is, so we're just trying to connect that a little bit closer to the people that actually fix it. So it's hard to say. I'm not a DICE representative, so I don't know what's happening internally, but every once in a while, I'll send something over to Gustav Halling, and he'll favorite my tweet, and he's just like, "Yeah, dude, you got it."
Yeah, so. And I don't know what DICE does either, but I'm pretty sure that they have a priority list, and if you have the greatest game-breaking glitch and you just describe it to them on pen and paper, put a postage stamp and mail it to them, whatever the fuck you do, I'm sure that they'll put it at the very end of their priority list, and if it's out there on the internet and they know it's a problem and they know that it's going to get big, they'll bump it up on the list. Mm-hmm. And that's why, most of their patches so far have just been from our videos.
Now, I know one of the questions you get a lot is because you do this mostly on Xbox, whether these, glitches also apply on other systems. I know you get that question asked quite a bit, just because it's always like the third or fourth comment on every QED video that you guys put out. But
does it work on Wii?
Do you guys have any, like, what if somebody sends you a glitch that they found on the PS3, for example, or some weird thing that happens? How do you deal with that? Are you still looking into that to see if it happens on the Xbox, or?
Absolutely. We have a couple of different guys with IND that they contribute to the series as well. They work. Penguin's doing some of the Easter eggs on PS3. So getting getting work done on the PS3. We've got a, like I said, we've got a great community. They usually jump in, test it, and they're like, okay, I can get this to work. And on PS3, we had one of our most recent videos, the out of Metro after the endgame patch, was actually done by one of our contacts on PC. And he just submitted us the video, and it just worked out famously like that. So, you know, it's very rare that there's just something that is only PS3 specific or only PC specific. Xbox is sort of the petri dish for a lot of these glitches. So, when it comes down to whether or not it works, 90% of the, 99% of the time it works on Xbox. So
yeah, the cross compatibility
we just stick there.
is just awesome. And actually, that out of Metro glitch was interesting because we found that on 360, that spot. But we were trying to work out, like, on PC, they might be able to kind of dive into that spot, but we can't do that on Xbox because, we have these constraints. And sure enough, we were able to get somebody to replicate it on PC.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the inception of QED and kind of like what really got you guys together and curiosity sparking this creation of yours.
Sure. I was working with Penguin early on. Me and Penguin played back in the days of Bad Company, and we would just go and we would pub stomp. We had a pretty good crew of people that were together, and we'd just get together and play and just empty servers. So when Battlefield 3 came along, we started playing competitively. We played groups like PTFO, SOA, Eclipse, or Iconic, or something to that effect. And eventually it just got to the point where the people that were challenging us were not showing up. And then, later on they would have like, okay, well, we got enough people, and then it's like, we've got enough for a 4v4. And there's 12 of us that are sitting around going, what do you mean a 4v4? We brought 12 to the table. It just got so aggravating that we just weren't going to continue doing it, and a lot of us disbanded. We just started playing in other games, and me and Penguin were talking about putting together a video series on like game mechanics, and I think the first one that we tried to do was really, really painful was grenade ownership. Like if you're holding a grenade in your hand and you get killed, it becomes the other person's grenade. So it was, something that we found interesting, and it was just really, really dry and sciencey. And finally, Penguin was just like, "Well, what do you know about?" And I'm like, "Well, I've been making the boat invisible since Bad Company 2." And he said, "Oh. Well, let's try some of that stuff." So I started playing around with it, and I came up with Enemy in My Helicopter, which I posted on my personal channel as episode 1 of the QED series. And it got a pretty resounding response. They wanted to know, a lot of people were just like, that's why that name was Gray when it was in my helicopter. And we started traveling down that dusty road, and the response that we got was more positive than negative, so we just continued to do so and started expanding.
IND Gamers on YouTube has over 10,000 subscribers right now. At about 5,000 subscribers, there was a community event that they put out, and I had been watching the videos. I started late and I caught up. I had been watching the videos and I thought, oh, there's a community event. So I just happened to make it into like the one empty spot that was available during that entire hour. And it was really interesting because I found more glitches during that event than I had found through just 200 hours of regular gameplay. The first one that I had happened to me was the mulligan glitch, where you die and you respawn into your vehicle. And so I suicided while I was in a tank, and I respawned, and I was back in my tank. And I was like, hey, have any of you guys ever experienced this before? And they said, that's interesting, whatever. We got to that one much later. But then we went into Metro, and I found 2 ways out of Metro using the spawn beacon through the ceiling. And that's when I got Houdini's attention, and we got together and made a QED video about that. And they liked me well enough that I started showing up to their games, and I saw them doing all their cool God mode shit, and I really got into it. And I hope that I've been a contributing member.
A valued member.
Yes.
I find it interesting
advancing through the ranks.
that you mentioned Operation Metro, because there seems to be this ongoing back and forth between you guys and DICE. Every time there's a new patch, it's almost like there's a dare, like this ongoing dare of like, okay, now try again, see if you can get out. And like a day after, there's a post on Twitter that I come across where you're like, hey, Gustav, look at this. And then someone's out in the ceiling again. With Endgame being the last DLC, and I would assume the last patch for Battlefield 3. I don't know if there's going to be patches in the future. I would imagine probably not. But what are your thoughts on that? And given how much is still left unpatched or broken, or how many of those glitches, I know you guys have a list of what's patched and what isn't. Do you think that there's going to be more patches? Do you think there should be more patches to fix some of these things?
We're reaching. You're right. We're reaching kind of a final drawing point with Endgame out now. We've heard all sorts of crazy kind of stuff going on with rocket pods being pretty much nonstop on helicopters, and some things that are pretty bad. If we find a way to replicate those, they're gonna have to patch it. The thing is that it costs them well over $100,000 every time there's a patch. Mm-hmm. EA does not like spending money. We know this. They dumped $50 million into the ad campaign alone for this game, and they're trying to hold on to every penny that they can with this. So the likelihood of another patch happening, we all seem to think that it might not be likely, but in all honesty, it's probably we'll probably see at least one more patch after this. And you're right, it is kind of a dare.
And the question, should there be more patches? Should there be more patches? The hard drive on my Xbox says no.
Yeah.
There should not be any more patches. I don't know what the fuck is going on with that game, but I want to put more games on my Xbox, and I can only fit one. So
yeah, I agree. I'm the same way. Every time there's a new DLC, I have to delete another one to make room. But I have an old Xbox with a tiny hard drive. But do you think this is normal? Compared to other games, that there's this many issues, and I mean, a lot of people will say, oh, there's this back and forth. They don't patch enough, or there's so many patches. So many problems. Look at the amount of patches they have to do. It's a broken game. But because on the one hand, you can say there's a lot of problems, but at least they are trying to patch some of them.
Sure.
Do you have any other? I mean, you mentioned Bad Company 2. Do you have any other experiences? Do you think this is sort of the norm nowadays with games that are this complex, or is it just laziness, or just not being careful enough to release stuff that's not like this?
Sure. I think that you're right. Battlefield 3 is a really complicated game. Just in the engine alone, it can be a really complicated game. So it's hard to tell whether it's just laziness, or I doubt it's laziness. I just think maybe it's being a little unorganized, being under the pressure of deadlines. Hell, during the beta, I canceled my pre-order 2 times. I'm not even kidding. I canceled it the first time after I first played it. I was just like, I kill it. I'm done. There's people falling underneath the map, and then I was like, oh no, I've played every other Battlefield. I just all right, I'll do this. And then all of a sudden, like, Rubberneck guy, I'm like, oh, okay, kill it. So, it's just, it's a complicated game, but I mean, like, there's just, I've been working to try to sort of help them and streamline the event. I had a pretty long conversation with Ian Tournay about maybe trying to help open up the lines of communication between the community and the repro team to get them together, and just help them somehow. And what we came to an agreement on being a better situation is implementing that Reddit-esque style commenting system to help filter it out. They had the Get Satisfaction,
right,
that was up for a while, and the problem with Get Satisfaction is their company is designed to field complaints about, like, people in restaurants, like isolated incidents. There was a fly in my soup, and not really like 17 million users, having a problem with frag rounds and people outside of the map on Metro. So it's just really hard to sift through that for the qualified data that they needed to get on top of these patches. I don't know if we'll see any in the future. Ghost?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny that you should ask whether or not other games have these same problems. When I was invited to this thing, I was told that the topic of conversation was going to be glitches in Hello Kitty Island Adventures 3. And it's like, all the notes that I had prepared, like, it's like you guys aren't even going to care about those glitches. No, every game has glitches. It's interesting, though, Modern Warfighter, Medal of Honor Warfighter, has the same engine.
Right.
And one of the big things that we noticed was, like, hey, you can't get out of walls by, like, reviving people because you can't stick your legs through a wall because you're prone blocked, and it's just little things like that. So it's like, the more a developer wants to give the player, like, free roam in a game, then the more glitches you're going to have. So, like, I'm sure that GTA has a bunch of glitches, but that's pretty much like a game that has built-in cheat codes anyway, so it doesn't matter. And a game that's, like, more restricted probably doesn't have as many glitches. But I remember Portal, for instance, had glitches where you could pretty much portal through the entire game using weird combinations of where you put your portals. You didn't have to go through the regular, storyline.
So as far as being a game that has an inordinate amount of glitches, probably. I mean, like, there's more than should have been there, but that's the product, like I said, of instead of having a beta, they had a server stress test, and I think maybe setting up, like, before pushing out a patch, maybe testing the patch PC, maybe, that might be a good maybe a good step towards making it a less expensive problem for them.
Now, do you think that like a lot of the glitches, the first time I hear about the glitch is when I see them in one of your videos, so they're not necessarily things that I've come across myself and wondered, oh, how did I do that, or that's a glitch in the game, I should tell somebody. Do you think that the fact that there's a dedicated community looking for problems also contributes to that, or
and that's true. I mean, like you put enough monkeys in a room with typewriters and you're going to get Shakespeare. It's going to happen. I think as a community we all want Battlefield to be the best game that it can be. So anything that we can do to kind of help that along. I mean, it's honestly evolved so far. As a product, it's just really come along. So yeah, it's probably contributed
If you
to it.
put enough monkeys in a room with typewriters long enough, you will eventually end up with a room full of monkey skeletons and feces and gibberish typed on paper. The reason that you don't see as many glitches in other games, you're right. It's because we're not playing those games. We're playing Battlefield, and once we move on, you'll find more.
More monkeys.
So,
Just awful.
So we all know that Battlefield 4 is coming. We're waiting for the announcement at GDC in a few weeks.
Yes.
But are you guys worried about anything with Battlefield 4? Are you afraid of seeing reoccurrences that you found in Battlefield 3 to happen in BF4, or are you afraid of new things coming to the front?
Battlefield 4 is going to be a very, very complicated animal. I'm sure that it's going to have its problems. We're going to work at it. We're going to test them. We're going to see if they're there. And that's part of our role in the community. It's almost like a watchdog position. It's kind of holding them to a little bit of accountability. So I would hope that the mistakes that have been made now have really kind of moved on and taken that into account for Battlefield 4. I hope it's going to be a really wonderful game, but I don't know what to expect until I see it.
I'm more excited. I think that Battlefield 4 is probably going to be on a new system, and I'm just thrilled about that. And I think that their transition from one system to another is going to probably create some initial growing pains. We'll see, but whatever it is, it's going to be better than what we have.
But do you think with on these next gen systems that are coming out soon, do you think that it'll help improve the product? By product I mean the bugs that we've seen now. Do you think that'll kind of eliminate some of them? Yeah, you said it's going to be buggy at the beginning, but the amount that we've seen so far, do you think that those will be existing in the next coming game?
Without a doubt, I would have to say that a lot of the problems that we've ran into with Battlefield now is because it's so complicated, and one of their big issues is memory allocation. Like how many objects there can be on the map, how many lines of code can be running, how fast it can be running, and that's something that even on the PC end is been inhibited by its limitations on console, because they don't want it to be so incredibly different of an experience from one to the other. And I think that they've done a decent enough job with that. So having more capabilities with the next gen console being on a what I assume with Xbox being on a PC architecture, and having the capabilities of a halfway decent computer these days, we're probably going to see less of it because they'll be a little bit more inclined to take care of that.
I don't want to freak you out, but
back over here, don't I?
There's something behind you.
Yeah, you got a little. It's over here.
Oh, over there. Yeah. Yep, one of my little glitchers.
That was the glitch part. Yeah, so you're right. Having more memory is going to mean that they don't have to put as many, placeholder invisible walkthrough things in the map. So Metro wouldn't be quite the Swiss cheese it already is. Yeah, there's definitely that, and hopefully they've actually learned from our process of doing things when they've been beta testing for glitches or whatever they do. I think that it's just like a one-man job, and a lot of these glitches require teamwork, and that's something that they didn't anticipate anyone would actually do. Because playing with friends has never been easier, and also combining the glitches. Like you take one harmless glitch and another harmless glitch, you combine them into something devastating. One of my favorite things was the reactive armor on certain vehicles will blow up when you're out of bounds after 10 seconds, and then you get another 10 seconds out of bounds. So it's like, 20 seconds out of bounds, big deal, right? But if you take an EOD bot and you drive that sucker out of bounds, and before the 10 minutes or the 10 seconds is up, you exit out, re-enter, then you get another 10 seconds. Combine those two things, EOD bot repairing that one plate of reactive armor, and suddenly you have a big tank spawn camping as long as you want, and it requires two people.
Right. Yeah.
So hopefully they've learned what we do, and they'll actually test the proper way and get these things resolved before they happen.
I was going to ask actually what your favorite QED was, whether that's for a good reason, funny reason, bad reason. Did you guys have any, like a number one?
Like I've said, the Pimp Rider glitch, it kind of makes me happy and giggle on the inside. I just really enjoy seeing that. As far as the most devastating one, the one that I've just really, really hoped that they could get across patching was the periscope gun glitch, because it had so many multiple applications to make it just awful for other players. So.
Mm-hmm. My favorite one of all time was the Ghost Rider glitch. I just thought that was hilarious. That's the first QED that I actually used in a game, and that's what really got me hooked on it. Was just like driving around a Jeep and like there's nobody in it, or a boat, and people walk by and they're like, "Oh, it's just an empty boat," and then the gun turns. That was hilarious. But my favorite still working one is the mortar glitch that I found, where you just put the mortar in all these wacky positions, because it was something that I was like, I put a mortar on this thing, and I don't think that I should have been able to do that, and then I was replicating it, and suddenly I have a mortar, and I'm, 45 degrees, and the mortar shell, it doesn't go 45 degrees. It's counterintuitive. You can actually fire a mortar and kill yourself. You can fire it straight up in the air. And it's like, okay, this isn't useful for anything, right? But you can actually use it to get out of maps. So that's my favorite one that still works, as far as I know.
So, okay, so this isn't so much for console gamers, but on the PC side, glitching versus cheating, or using a faulty code in game versus a manipulation and injection of code into the game. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't agree with cheating whatsoever.
No compare.
I don't. When you're altering the game code to better yourself as a player, improve your KD, to do whatever. I mean, it's just, come on, nobody cares how big your KD is. Nobody cares that you're killing people with ammo packs. As a matter of fact, in episode 1, I stated IND Gamers does not condone the use of glitches or douchebaggery. I don't think that it should be exploited to give yourself a favorable advantage. I enjoy exploring the game. So
This is my take on it. When you're using cheat codes, that's a whole different ballgame. It's like so grossly unfair, and it's just like this deliberate, malicious act. When you're doing glitches, at least there's just like a sort of like, hey, this is in the game, and I didn't know that you knew about it. But here's the thing: if we're on Metro and we find people who are glitching in Metro, we're like, okay, we're gonna glitch the hell out of them. We're gonna show them who the real glitchers are, right? So, whenever we would find people doing our glitches, we would just mess with them. Just trash them, shit all over them.
We've come into matches where people are outside of the map on Metro, and we send them a message, and we're just like, hi. And they're like, crap. And then they get back to the map, they get back into the game and start playing, and it's really kind of funny.
Actually, sometimes when we're in the time machine and we see like a higher ranking individual, it's like, oh, hey, guys, I like your videos, but I'm going to leave now because I don't want to be on the receiving end.
So we made with the problem like the M26 Dart, when we had that bug in game and things like that, little things that almost give players advantage. And you talked about, like someone using it because it's in game. A lot of I don't even know how to classify these people. I guess I can just call them whiners. We'll say that you using something that is in game is almost as bad, if not worse, than cheating. How do you guys feel about a claim like that?
I use the M26 Dart in M26 Dart only servers. That's what I did. I was having a blast too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like when we had the problem with frag rounds right from the get go, I knew that it was a problem. I knew, and part of me was just like, no, I'm a bigger person than that. I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use it. And then finally, like, I snapped, and I was like, I can't take it anymore. I've been killed by it one too many times, and I went ham one weekend, and it became nearly close to my best weapon, and that felt disgusting.
It controls night and day.
Yeah, so that's and as a matter of fact, I think speaking of that, Glittery Mocha might be doing an interview sometime next month with Hank and Jed on a website. She does awesome interviews, like she's done Mantis, Colin,
I was going to talk to you about
Doom
that,
49.
I was going to talk to you about more of what IND is. It's because it's more than just a QED series, right?
Yeah.
There's more to it than that, including the interviews that Glitter Mocha does at indgamers.com. But what are you guys' plans for the future? Not just Battlefield 4, but are you looking into any other games? Are you looking into, where else is the IND community going?
It's a constantly evolving animal in the respects that, we try a little something new, and we'll see if it works. For a while, we were doing custom maps on Halo 4, trying that out and seeing if we could get a community response on it. And we just didn't really have that big of a response, so we sort of shit-canned that. And as a result of it, the Binkster's Bad Walkthrough series came to light. I actually really enjoy working on them with Binkster, despite the fact that they're so unbelievably bad. We've got a Minecraft server that's up and running.
Yes, I saw that.
If you go to indgamers.com/indcraft, it has the server information, got a dedicated IP. And we have Nighthawk 20,000 is the kid that's working on that. and that's really more his animal. I don't really have anything to do with that. But we're branching out, and when we see a community response from something, we continue to do it, and if we don't, then we move on and try somewhere else. So, you know, it's a group effort, and it all resides on what people find interesting enough to, you know, respond to.
We're trying to combine news, investigation, and entertainment, and turn it into a community experience. And you know, there's some plans. It's just really tough, you know, getting everything all rolling at once. But you know, I'd really love to you know, see like a web comic going, more video series with more games. You know, really get some partner channels. You know, Binkster's Bad Walkthroughs, that was an idea that Houdini and I had for Binkster to do. And in concept, this is probably the funniest thing ever. It's a walkthrough, except where you deliberately get every aspect of the walkthrough wrong. You know, so instead of, you know, you're John 117, you are John Halo, and you have a smoking hot CGI girlfriend katana. You know, and people don't get it, but that's part of what makes it funny.
Yeah, they are funny. I've seen them. They're interesting, and I haven't actually played any of Halo 4. I mean, I'm familiar with Halo, and I've played. I think the last Halo I played was Halo 2, but even to that, it's just some of the things that he's done in there are they're just hilarious, because not anything to do with the game in particular, but there's this one where he keeps cloning himself, and then there's more and more of him, and they're arguing with each other. It's just comedic gold.
Well, thank you. I haven't heard that one. Comedic gold. I have heard Binkster, your walkthroughs suck. Hey, Binkster, 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 your walkthroughs suck. Stop. No, but he's a good guy to work with, and you know, people don't give him enough credit because he's got a little bit of comedy genius deep inside of him. We're working towards implementing other contributors and content generators, and like a lot of people ask, how do I get to be a part of IND? And that's the thing. We're a community you can join. It's as simple as just going to the website and signing up. So there's that, and then finding a way to contribute back to your cog. You know, you've got to be a pretty good spoke in the wheel. And a way that we've been finding people to help us with the glitches, we post up a How the Fuck series. Which we show something and we're just like, how does this happen? And then we wait to see if you know, somebody, you know, gets it or gets pretty close, and you know, we'll generally contact them and, you know, get them in the party and kind of talk with them, and if they seem bright and intelligent enough, you know, and not completely retarded, then, you know, we continue to work with them. So finding your own way to contribute back to the community is really the best thing that you can do to become a content generator.
Have you guys personally thought of venturing outside the Xbox world and moving to other platforms?
Yes. Actually, that's relevant because everybody that I know is going to PC for some reason.
Yes, yeah, a lot of people are moving to PC, it seems like.
We are currently investigating life hacks. The glitches you can perform in real everyday life.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I've got a pretty decent PC. You know, I got an i7, 12 gigs of RAM, decent power supply. Waiting to upgrade my graphics processor, but you know, once I get my new GPU in there, maybe I'll toy around with it. But personally, I like the casual feel of, you know, just kicking it on the couch and hanging out with some of my friends and, you know, just having having a good time. That's what video games are about. It doesn't matter what platform you're on, just as long as you're having a good time.
Yeah, and it's hard to get used to more than one platform.
Yeah.
Penguin is on PS3 and Xbox, but he's having trouble testing the things that we really want him to test because he hates that controller. And that's why we need the community, because I think that I'm going to be strictly Xbox for the majority of this venture. And if we have more of a PC community and a PS3 community, then they can take care of that stuff.
Right.
Any
Go ahead, Tim.
any hopes for the new Xbox system coming out?
Yes, absolutely.
What are
Microsoft acquisition Skype, so we'll likely see a better party system
I hope so.
together. Possibly more than 8 people. It's kind of aggravating being on a team of 12 people and then only having 8 in a party.
I would just kill for some sort of audio leveling so that you don't have one person that you can barely hear and somebody else that's making your ears bleed all at the same time, That's probably my biggest problem with Xbox Live Party Chat.
Amen, brother. Amen. Yeah, I think, better specs, a lot of people, give a lot of crap to the Xbox, and what they don't understand is that, this system is, over 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Take a computer that was halfway decent 7 years ago and try to run BF3 on Ultra. It's not going to happen. So, we're going to see some better specs, but I think what I'd like to see from them most is less. Just less stuff, You don't shoehorn a bunch of crap into it that we don't need. I don't want to be wildly waving my arms at the TV to play video games. Just want to have a comfortable experience with some friends,
Yeah. What I'm really hoping that the new system has is that this controller. I hope that they split it in 2, maybe even 3 parts that I can juggle. And and I want to make sure that instead of a joystick, which, everything that I do translates directly to the screen, I want to make sure that there's a little camera trying to guess what I'm, gonna do next. This is why I hate the fucking Wii. That Nintendo, they started out good, but then they just went into the whole new brand of crap.
Somewhere along the line, they just lost it.
Yeah.
So, I know Endgame, you guys haven't played it yet, I assume, because neither of you are playing on, or actually nobody other than me in this call has played Endgame. But
Penguin has.
Penguin has, yeah. What are you guys' expectations for when it comes out on Tuesday? Is there anything particular looking forward to? And just from a non-glitch, just gaming perspective point of view.
You'll have to talk to Goose about that one. I'm not premium.
So are you going to get it, though, or no?
Oh, yeah. I've paid for all of the DLC.
But you just have to wait another week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, non-glitch wise, I'm glad that they actually gave us a snow map that has, snow. The other one, it was, sort of snowy in like the mountains, but like the snow map. I liked, the sort of like wide, expansive maps. That's what I've always been about. I was not into the close quarters DLC at all. Capture the flag is something that should be a given in any first-person shooter game. That's the reason that I got started in these games, is capture the flag, And from a glitching perspective, I have a few expectations. I want to pimp ride the dirt bikes. I think that should be awesome. I want to find a way to totally break capture the flag mode, where I can pretty much like teleport the flag into my base or something. And I want to make sure that if I'm just holding and running with the flag, I want to make sure that flag is sticking straight out my ass. So
All right.
But you know, generally, the footage that I've seen, it looks good. It looks better than Endgame. I mean, the whatchamacallit, the last one.
Aftermath.
Aftermath, yeah.
Yes, actually, that's a good... Candu just set this in the chat. You guys got to figure out how to get out of the jets in air superiority.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody has to fix that broken ejection seat.
You know, if you can get out and just have like a stinger or something on the ground, that'll just make people rage.
Yeah. All right. Is there coming up on the hour mark? Is there anything else you guys want to mention, or just tell people how they can get a hold of you online? Any final thoughts? Anything like that?
Absolutely. You know, feel free to join the community and help out. It's going to be a better experience for you trying to get together with people that are like-minded, and it's if you have a working concept of what you can contribute, definitely contact myself or Ghost. Leave Penguin alone. He is an old man. He is a scientist. He doesn't like people, or just children, especially children. I really, really thank you guys for having us on. It's been a really good time.
Yeah, and what I wanted to just say as, last note is when you see the ads on the YouTube videos, you click on those. That's what they're there.
Ad blockers. That YouTube money.
Yep.
There was an interesting article by Destructoid talking about how they aren't able to support themselves anymore because of ad blockers. So,
read.
Oh yeah, and you guys should also check out our Russian counterpart.
We honestly have another channel, IND GooOost or something like that. Some guy in Russia just started.
Totally ripped off our entire gig.
That's awesome.
And he even has like the chalkboard and everything, except it's all really bad Russian.
Hello, welcome to IND Gamers.
Exactly.
We will be doing the Battlefield 3 glitch today. This is very nice.
Yes.
Well, Tim, I was just going to ask you to tell people where they can find our stuff online. I want to mention one thing before. Next weekend, a week from now, we'll be talking with Mantis. And we should, at that point, also we'll be talking about Endgame a little bit more, because we'll have a chance to play it together on PC this coming week. So where can people click on our YouTube money?
Other little buttons that you can click on. You can start off with clicking our buttons at battlefieldpodcast.com. You can also go to youtube.com/battlefieldpodcast. We've got the new YouTube layout going on, and we just broke 1,600 subscribers.
Yeah, I'm
so
sure now
cool.
people are going to unsubscribe now. But.
Yeah, we'll be sitting at $15.99. And then Twitter at Chalk_1, at Darkness429, at BF Podcasts are all the Twitter handles that you should be following. And that's about it.
If you've enjoyed this live stream, subscribe now and watch our other live streams where we feature other YouTube famous people.
Perfect. See, I was contemplating asking you to do something like that, but I didn't even have to.
I was afraid that it would actually his real voice would break the live stream, because it's sometimes too much for mortal ears. It's been said that his voice is so extraordinary that he can leave messages before the beep. See, what you've been hearing this entire time is he's actually had to tone it down, and that was his real voice.
It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark episode where our heads will melt.
All right, well, thank you both very much for coming on, and everybody that hasn't checked out IND Gamers, make sure to check them out, and keep up the good work. I think it's great what you guys are doing. Not only does it help DICE fix problems in their game, but it's also extremely entertaining. So,
thank you much, sir.
And we'll see everybody in a week or so.
Bye.
Bye.